There's a gritter named after you, isn't there?
Yeah. I love that you know that.
Was this announced live on air, was it?
Yeah, big flex.
Welcome to the Fit Dads podcast, and today we're joined by someone who's a very familiar voice across South Yorkshire.
When Toby decided to leave afternoons and they were like, oh, we need a new breakfast presenter, I was thinking there's just no way, and then they rang me and said, yeah, you've got it.
I'm obsessed with what time you wake up.
3:30, the alarm goes off. I'm like, I was thinking, can I swear? I won't swear, but like a swear word, like bang like this, straight up.
What time do you go to bed?
Oh, this is embarrassing. If my boyfriend's at home, I'll go to bed at 6:30. So I know we'll get into it, but like with the endo and stuff, it's like with a lot of medical conditions, fatigue is no joke. So mix that with getting up at 3:30.
Any advice for someone who's maybe struggling with endo or suspects maybe they've got endo? What message would you like to take away?
My advice to you is...
Welcome to the Fit Dads podcast. I'm Brad Thompson. I'm joined as always by the amazing Mr. Ryan Dutton. And today we're joined by someone who's a very familiar voice across South Yorkshire.
Yeah.
Ellie Colton is the BBC Radio Sheffield Breakfast Presenter, and she joins us to talk about her journey into broadcasting, what it's really like waking up Sheffield every morning, and the career that's taken her to where she is today. But alongside broadcasting, Ellie has become a passionate advocate for something that affects around 1 in 10 women, and those assigned female at birth in the UK, endometriosis. Now, with a diagnosis still taking an average of around 8 years, is that right, Ellie?
Yeah, well, it's meant to be exactly 9 years and 4 months in the UK, as updated this year.
Wow.
Not to nick your
No,
your thunder
I feel like
there,
I need it specifying. I don't want to be spouting fake news.
Yeah.
There's clearly a huge conversation to be had around awareness, education, and listening to women's experiences. And save me and Ryan mansplaining stuff, to be honest.
Yeah, too right.
But hopefully, Ellie, we're going to dive into what endometriosis actually is, the symptoms that people shouldn't ignore, why diagnosis can take so long, and if you're willing to share your own experience as well.
Yeah, because you asked so nicely.
We try.
Thank you so much for inviting me. This is really lovely, and what an intro. I'm excited. Ready to go.
I tripped over a few words.
Not
I don't know how
really.
you do this live every day.
Yeah.
No idea.
Do you know why, though? It's the same way that we're just sat here. Even though everybody at home's involved, you just forget that they're there. So it's just you just talking with another person, and then it just comes out naturally.
It just becomes a norm, doesn't it? I guess you do it for so long. Like, if you look back at our first episodes, I cringe at them. We're so that uptight and nervous, and you can tell we know there's people listening.
Yeah.
Now we're 130 odd episodes in, so we're not that bothered anymore. Like, if people listen, they love it, great. If they don't, fair play. You know what I mean? I guess you can't really take that approach on the radio.
Well, a little bit. I mean, you have to be really relaxed and just act like you're chatting to one person and just be so chill with your language. Is you know, if you wouldn't say it to your friend down the pub, don't say it on the radio. That sort of situation.
Okay. I don't think that'd get me very far. Really.
Yeah, I know. You just be like effing and jeffing and all the rest of it. Yeah, censored to a point, but
Fair.
yeah.
I mean, how did that actually start? So, I suppose journey into broadcasting, because I'm always obsessed with how people get into these roles, especially at a young age.
Well, mine's such a weird, windy one, which I hope is exciting for you. So when I was younger, I always wanted to be on telly like Susanna Reid, like a journalist. And when I was in year 6, don't worry, we're not going to take 3 hours to get to the age I'm now 27. I started making little films on a little camera recorder that my dad had bought me, and we'd do little films, me and my sister, so I could get into film club. But then they kicked me out of it because I spilt some water on a laptop, so I thought all my dreams were over.
They kicked you out just because you spilled water on the laptop?
Yeah, they said I was naughty. They thought I did it on purpose, but I didn't anyway. So when I was in year 7, year 8, and then year 9, I would have been about 14, 15. And my local postcode magazine, these are the free magazines you get through the door and think nothing of. I thought, oh, they have like a student columnist. I'm going to write to them. So I got in touch with this guy. He's called Mike Firth. He's my hero. He's the reason I'm doing anything from Heron Publications. We always used to get Activate in the SA area, and it went out to about 15,500 houses. Mike, can I write for you a monthly article? He's like, yeah, of course you can. So I started doing that, and I thought I was famous, you know. I changed my email, and I don't mind saying it because people email me all sorts of nonsense anyway, to official.elliecolton@gmail.com, and that's like my proper email for everything, and it's so embarrassing. But
that was when everyone had official, like in their Instagram
official
names, and
as long as it's
as
not
if there was an
rude.
unofficial version of you somewhere knocking around.
I've never thought of it that way. That's so true. So I started doing that. And then when I was about 16, so about a year of doing Activate, the editor of Activate knew the editor at Radio Sheffield, and they used to do this slot on a Saturday called Trending Guest, where 7:35 to 7:40 every Saturday, tiny slot, somebody would come on and talk about 5 stories that had caught their attention that week. And it wasn't like read the news, but it was, say, an orangutan fell out the sky, or so, it was something crazy.
I want to get these people on the podcast, mate. These are the guests we need.
So I did that for about 2 years, once every 8 weeks, while still writing for Activate. And I thought, maybe I'm making an impression here because they keep asking me back, but it weren't paid. And, I was still working at New Look at the time. And then I was started a journalism degree. And around that same time, 18, 19, Radio Sheffield said, we've got money now, which I don't know if you see much about the BBC at the minute. They're all like cutting back and scaling back, and we've got no money kind of thing. I have to make £500 million in cuts. They said, we've got this money for these evening shows. Do you want to do a demo? So I did the demo and they were like, yeah, we'll have you. I was like, what? This is crazy. Wow. So from 18, 19, I had a Friday night show, and then COVID hit. And then I got given, do you know BBC Introducing is all music?
Yes.
BBC Upload is like comedy and podcasts and all of this. So they gave me BBC Upload and I loved it. Overnight, I was like, I love poetry. And I didn't really, but I was like, just love it, anything like that. And I genuinely grifted so hard to make my little opportunity big that we were the most successful upload show in the whole of England. And I was like, wow, what? This is crazy, because I was like pushing in a way that other people didn't. I was like constantly on the socials and trying to get people to come and come back and tell their friends. So then I went over to Manchester for a bit because I met a boy and I was doing a journalism degree at Hallam. And I thought, I'm going to try and get in at Radio Manchester because I'm only doing a couple of days at Radio Sheffield and I need like proper work. So I got in at Radio Manchester and that was amazing. I saw like John Bishop and Alan Shearer and all these crazy people that were there. 5 Lives downstairs, BBC Breakfast is at the end there. It was like the maddest place. And then by the end of 2 years there, I'd covered every single show because I'm like a little mole that won't go away. So I'd produced mid-morning, afternoon, daytimes, that on weekends as well. I'd hosted breakfast, been the breakfast report. I'd done daytimes, afternoons, evenings, upload show, everything bar Introducing really. So by the time I'd created this CV, when Toby decided to leave afternoons and they were like, we need a new breakfast presenter, I was thinking there's just no way. But, where they say, go and get some experience and come back, I thought, well, I've done that, Yeah. And then we did this crazy hiring process where it's very serious and you've got to say the right thing. And then they rang me and said, yeah, you've got it. And it was a really awful week that week. So I'm not saying this to make you laugh, even though I'm laughing, but the day before my uncle had died and I was in such a bad place. No. And then they just rang me and they were like, you've got this breakfast show. And I was thinking, my poor family, this is the best news ever of my whole life. But then my dad's just lost his brother, and how do you communicate that really quietly? So it was a weird time, but I was so excited at the same. But it's funny, isn't it? Because you just think, God, like,
how do you
of
tell
all
your
the
family?
days, please, God rest his soul, John. But it wasn't a good start. But yeah, I've been doing that 3 years in November now. There's been a lot of fun experiences. So that's how we got there.
Amazing.
I can't believe at the age you've done all that stuff. It's incredible because, if you look at who you replaced, Toby.
Yeah.
How old was he? He was, when he left, he was in mid-50s, was it?
Yeah, it's probably about 56 now, but sorry if that's wrong, Toby.
Yeah, we're just going off look, sorry, mate.
Yeah.
But to be doing it at your age, incredible, right? My next question is, what's the future? Where do we go from here? What would you love? What's the pinnacle for you in terms of the radio? Do you want to go into TV? What would you love to do?
Originally, if you'd asked me when I first started doing the breakfast show, or even before that, I was like, I want to be on Radio 1. I want to be Greg James. But I just think Radio 1 has had a lot of people coming and going recently. And I know I can't compare it to local radio, but I love local radio. And in the sense of jobs presenters, I've hit the ceiling there, but that doesn't mean that I want to go. Of course I don't want to go. I love my job. But if I was to do anything bigger than that, I suppose the next the next stage, well, it's not just the next stage because it's a massive jump, but the dream would be like Radio 2 or Five Live's a lot more chatty. I want to be doing like Ryland's Radio 2 show or something like that, or Vernon Kay or Paddy McGuinness, because they have such a laugh over there. And I've applied every year for the past 8 years for that Radio 1 where you do a demo when you try and be a Christmas presenter. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so, yeah.
I've not heard that, no.
So you like graft away doing this crazy demo for a specific show. It's like thousands of people apply to it. And every year, people around me were getting it. It's like Chelsea, who works with Toby, Maddie, who works with me in the office, Xanthi, who works with me in the office, who you guys know. Everybody was getting it. Oh, you got picked with this. And I was thinking, why am I not? And then I thought, I don't like Radio 1 anymore. They've crushed my soul too much. But yeah, that would be the ideal. Or going into something TV like Morning Live or This Morning or The One Show. That is like the dream. Not to say it's going to happen, and I'm not saying, oh, don't think that's going to happen, like put myself down, but that would be like the ultimate.
And the thing is, you've got so many years ahead of you. You've got literally decades. Like the next 3 decades. I could
die tomorrow, though.
Well, that's a bit morbid. Let's not think about that. Let's think about the next 30 years. You could literally spend the next 30 years of your life trying to work towards that and have that as a goal. And actually, with what you've achieved so far, I don't even think it'd take that long, honestly. I mean, that's the one thing that strikes me from the content online is the personality you have is, I think, what's got you there for sure, 100%. Because it's so hard. I think we've mentioned this before, it's very difficult to be yourself in today's world. In a world where there's so many influences online, especially, it's hard to be yourself.
Yeah.
And I think you're very true to that.
Oh, thank you so much.
And even harder to do it when there's a mic on, there's cameras on you.
Yeah.
So to do what you've done is I mean, as people who are in like, what do you call it, like alternative media nowadays, like we're in awe of what you've done.
It's called?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's called alternative media.
That's so kind, though. Can I just say, and I really appreciate that. And whenever anybody says anything nice to me, I don't know what their perception is of me. Like, do they think I'm big-headed or egotistical? Like, you obviously don't, so thank you. But I all of that I take proper in here. I don't just, oh, thanks for that sort of thing. I'm like, oh my God, like cry about that later. You know, it's so lovely. So thank you. Yes, I'm tired. I've done too much now.
I'm obsessed with what time you wake up, by the way. I know when I first spoke to you, I'm like, it must have been the second question apart from, how are you, Ellie? What time did you wake up?
Gosh, 3:30 on the dot. And you know how, I don't know what your guys' morning routines is. Obviously, you're in much better health than I am, but I don't know if you just sort of like hang around in your bedroom 5 minutes, take the day in its stride. And you've got kids as well, so probably not. But I'm like, 3:30, the alarm goes off. I'm like, I was thinking, can I swear? I won't swear, but like a swear word, like bang, like this, straight up. And it doesn't matter how bad I feel, fatigued, poorly, pained, whatever, I fall over. Well, I know you know how people go to the bathroom and brush their teeth and stuff, obviously, but yeah, 3:30. And then I sit down doing makeup for an hour, because by the time people start rolling in the office at 10 o'clock, well, I've been up 7 hours and I look like I've been dragged through a hedge backwards. So it's like proper, like, you know, pantomime makeup, trying to make sure it sticks on. And then you think by 2, I've done a normal day, so I'm tired and I have to go
What time do you go to bed?
Oh, this is embarrassing. If my boyfriend's at home, I'll go to bed at 6:30.
Will you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I know we'll get into it, but like with the endo and stuff, it's like with a lot of medical conditions, fatigue is no joke. So mix that with getting up at 3:30. But if Jordan's not there, because Jordan's away a lot, he's an Olympic diver, just to break the fourth wall, so he can be away 2 weeks, 3 weeks in like Beijing, Mexico, Croatia, wherever. He's just been away for 2 weeks in Paris at the European Championships, and I can't put the dog, I know it sounds so silly because it's not a child, but I can't put the dog to bed at 7 o'clock, so I'll have to wait till about 8 and then make sure when I get up, when I'm leaving at 4:15, Dougie comes out for a little poop and whatever.
Why can't the dog go to bed at 6 o'clock?
Because I just think he won't. Well, he's getting better now because he'll be 3 in December. But he's so hyperactive that he won't relax. I can't have him in bed with me. I had a pug before, God rest her soul. And when she died, it killed me because she got cancer at 5. It was so awful. And she used to sleep with me because I wasn't on crazy shifts. And then I got Dougie when I've been doing the breakfast show for like 3 months. Getting a puppy when you're starting to get used to getting up at 3:30, madness.
Oh my God.
So it's not a crate or anything. He's got a big pen like this downstairs, and he's got his bed and a cooling mat, and it's really long, and he's only like that little fat little thing.
What dog is he?
He's a pug.
He's another pug. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Doug the pug.
Doug the pug, yeah.
So I have to just think about that, and yeah, so he just won't go to bed at 6. It's all the light as well, even with curtains and stuff. So
well, I've got 2 kids. We've got a dog. I would definitely say the dog was worse than a baby. 100%. I can confirm that.
Did you have a puppy through the night and stuff?
Yeah,
Don't sleep.
It was like my job as well, because I seemed to be the only one that could get him to sleep.
Yeah.
So I had this little stupid routine where I used to go downstairs.
Here we go.
And we tried to like crate train him, so I put him in the crate.
Yeah.
And then we actually bought a baby gate as well.
Yeah.
So we put a baby gate on the door. I'd like put him in there, he'd fall asleep like this. And I'd be like, right, burn his house. I'd tiptoe out.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, just putting my leg over the baby gate. I'd just catch it.
Yeah.
And I'd be like,
Yeah.
I'd turn around and he'd be there on all fours, wide awake. I'm like, oh no. So I had to go through the whole routine again. And then this thing where he could hear me going upstairs because the stairs are quite noisy. So I had to go and hide in the bathroom downstairs.
Totally relate. This is so wild.
So I had to hide in the bathroom, and then he made even this wheezing noise when he used to sleep as well. So I knew when he was sleeping, and then when he'd wheezed for like 20 minutes or so, then I'd go upstairs and I'd get in bed. And then as he started getting bigger, he was actually able to jump over the baby gate. And there was a few moments where I'd done all this routine. I was on my way up the stairs, and I just he jumped over the baby gate, and he's flying past me, and he's in bed before I am, in my bed.
It's not funny at the time, though, is it?
No, it's horrendous.
At the
It's
time, you're
horrible.
like, what have I done?
Yeah.
But I'm like that with Dougie going up the stairs. So when Jordan's not, he's got so much better now. But at the time, Jordan moved in with me after 4 months of seeing each other because I couldn't get my dog to sleep. I mean, that's what I told him anyway, you know. But the dog would scream all night, be up till 1:30. I was then getting up at 3:30. I had to, it was just awful. But we would walk up the stairs, and then I'd have to walk a particular way over the landing, or this is no like naughty joke or whatever, but even if you rolled over in bed and the bed squeaked, the dog would be up. So nothing was going on, you know, upstairs. Everything was totally silent.
Relationship killer.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it was. I mean, that poor thing. And then I said, we need to buy a new house because this creaking stair situation and bedroom. So we live in High Green now, in a house where it doesn't creak as much, but it needs a lot of work doing to it. So yeah, there you go.
I feel like you've just given me an insight into why to maybe not get a dog.
Don't
I mean, I'm
get a
sure
dog.
it sounds lovely, but
Not a baby dog.
Puppies are hard. I don't know how people do it though. Like even now, I've got friends who've got their dogs crate trained, and they'll stay downstairs, and when they get up in the morning, they'll get out. I'm like, how have you done that? We gave up on it basically. So now he just sleeps in the bed with us.
But if he sleeps good, then it's okay, isn't it?
He sleeps fine now. I think they get better. So you mentioned obviously your dog's 3.
3 in December, yeah.
Yeah, so they become a little bit less mischievous. I mean, you've seen Walter, he's crazy when you first get it, but now he'll just like chill and he'll sleep, and he might come in for a little bit of a, he'll nudge you around sometimes for a
What
stroke.
dog is it?
He's a whippet.
Oh, so I've seen him.
You've seen
Sorry,
him,
what
yeah,
we're
yeah.
talking about.
Yeah,
I've seen the dog anyway. What dog is it?
You can't walk through the door
with
without him coming up to you and wanting strokes and kisses, and he's a lovely dog, he really is. He is nice, but I think when they're young, they're just hard, aren't they?
Yeah.
And again, starting this breakfast show, having to get up at 3, I have no idea.
It was
how you did
crazy.
that.
I mean, just with the dog as well, doing an aside of about pet grief and stuff, I got my new dog 2 days after my other dog died. And the reason was I couldn't bear not having a pug in my life.
Really?
And then
You
next
missed
minute,
him that
I
much?
thought, God, what have I done? Like, this was just hell. It was Luna the pug. She was a cute little girl. And then I obviously Dougie the pug in. He was so squishy when he was little. But then 6 months onwards, when he wouldn't sleep, and I thought, this is it.
Did you have Luna since a puppy?
No, I got her. This is really awful. I got her at 2.5 off Gumtree because I was desperate for a puppy. Who even uses that's a throwback,
Wow,
isn't it?
I didn't know that
This
was
would be
possible
about
or
7
legal.
years ago now. Yeah, it's probably not legal. But
Are you sure it was a pug?
yeah, it was. It was like 500 quid for this pug. But obviously, upon reflection, the guy blocked me after he dropped her off, and she stank of cigs, and everything that she came with stank of cigs, and she was really small.
Oh, that's
And I
secondary
thought,
smoke.
oh dear, it stunk so bad. And I thought, right, well, I've rescued you now, And she'd never been to a vet's or anything. She had big long nips, like she'd been breeding her whole life.
Oh my
But she
God.
was so little. And then I realised 6 months later that she got lymphoma in her neck. And the vet was like, oh, we'll cut it out. Yeah, it's cancer, but we'll cut it out. £3,000 later. I was like, oh my God.
God.
And then like about a year and a half later, 2 years later, she started going downhill, and they said, yeah, when a dog's got lymphoma, it will die of cancer. Like it never, you can cut it out, but it's got it. And then but she was the best dog ever. And I felt so bad, but I thought at least my mum, when I was crying, she was like, but you gave her 2 of the best years or 2. And I was like, I know, Mum, give me another dog, help.
It's amazing how much that dog cost for the time, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, they are expensive, yeah.
Bless her.
That must be quite common as well. People maybe losing dogs and then almost not replacing them. I probably need to choose my words a bit better.
No, you're right.
But feeling like you're going to replace them.
Yeah, because you can't replace. I mean, Dougie's a totally different pug to Luna. I love that we're talking about this. It's nice. Get a bit of this in, but losing a dog and then not having that, you're like, God, it's like especially when you don't have kids, you're like, but that's my thing that I look after, that sleeps with me and loves me. And
it is like losing a child, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
because it just spends
awful.
all day, every day with you.
Yeah.
And when they're not there, and you sat in the house and you used to them coming, like even coming through the door and them being there. Again, even with Walter, it's hard to say, but you take them for granted some days.
Oh, you do.
As much love as you give them, you do on certain weeks just take them for granted because you're so busy as life is. But if they weren't there, oh my God, it'd be...
Yeah, or if they annoy you and you're like, Walter, not taking none of that today.
That's every day.
Walter is such a cute name, it beats Dougie, I think, actually.
Walter the Whippet.
I love alliteration, I love names that rhyme, so Doug the Pug is the one. I'm sorry to handbrake the dog chat, because I'm quite enjoying dog chat.
Yeah, this is what we've come for
Because if I don't say it, I will forget it. But you mentioned about having official Ellie Colton in your email address.
Yeah.
Is there any moments where you've been like, right, I've made it now, or I'm getting there? Like maybe I can be official Ellie Colton.
Who knows? That is a good question, and I know from working in radio that people say that when they don't know what to say. So give me a moment. Has there been any moment of you? Yeah, actually. So I got asked to do a endometriosis documentary for the BBC, and on top of that, Emma Barnett, who is this Radio 4 Today programme goddess who has just worked her way up from just having her first edging, she's like the female Paxman, she doesn't take no nonsense. When I met her, I was like, I realise why you're so successful, because she's so very polite but extremely direct, and it's because you don't see that in women as much, because it's a male trait. Well, no, not really. She's just amazing. So they asked me to come down to BBC Broadcasting House because she had done the first ever BBC hour-long documentary on endo. And I was thinking the first one ever in 2026, but yeah, seriously. And I got to host her Q&A, and there was about 15 female health influencers, but I suppose you'd be male health influencers, so less of that really, had all come round. And we watched a bit of the documentary before it had come out, and then I hosted this Q&A, and I was sort of in control, not Emma, and she wanted to give me that control and ask questions and guide the conversation for an hour, and I was so scared to do that. And I thought in that moment, I was like, my gosh, I can't believe I've been asked to do this. Wow, this is nice. Somebody's noticed me and thought, yeah, she's all right, and we'll entrust her with Emma Barnett. And that was only a couple of months ago. So
it's amazing that you do all these radio shows every morning and you still get nervous on stage.
Oh, God, yeah. There's a difference, though. Not to cut you off, sorry, I'm bad for that as well, but talking in front of a microphone, talking in front of people, so different. So at that point, I was, you sound like you're going to cry, like...
We had the same thing, I think, at the Crosswires Festival, yeah. And a little bit, we did what was it now? It was the Inspire event, so we did an event in Wakefield. I guess we had on a bit of a motivational speaker, and he asked us just to kind of hold almost like a live podcast on stage. And we didn't do much talking, it was more interviewing, wasn't it? But that was probably the first time we've ever done the podcast in front of actual live audience, and I definitely felt nervous. And then in the first 5-10 minutes of Crosswires on a stage and everyone's there, and there was a few people in the audience, but there was a lot of people walking past and queuing up for the BBC Sounds bit at the side of us, and just all those eyes, you're like, oh God, this is actually what happens anyway when people listen, but to see those eyeballs it was crazy. But definitely makes you, again, just not be yourself with it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Which is odd, because you're like, why am I so nervous? I do this every week, but it is those eyeballs being on you. You can feel them burning almost.
Even if you are being yourself, it's like this body reaction where you're like stuck, like paralysis.
It's weird, isn't it? Because even your brain goes a little bit like foggy, and you can't think as sharply. I've always found that fascinating.
It makes me wonder if it's even more unnerving being yourself, because you'd be very much open to criticism.
Yeah.
Like, I'm always a bit nervous, like putting myself out there, because any criticism that comes is towards me. It's not a persona. It's not, I can't hide behind anything.
Yeah.
It's me.
I get some of that online especially, but do you know what they say? And I love this, because at first it was like, oh, this girl's rubbish and blah, 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 you know,
People actually said
Facebook
that,
mums. Oh my
Really?
gosh.
So
Yeah.
so when you first joined, you got a lot of criticism?
Yeah, big time. Because it wasn't just, you know, Toby moving to afternoons. It meant that Howard Pressman had gone off afternoons. Paulette stayed where she was. And then obviously I was on breakfast, and it was like, oh gosh, I can't even take the amount of comments. It was like insane. I thought, this is going to be horrific. And you've got your managers going, you're fine, don't worry about it, you know, supporting you, but being like, just ignore it, you know, when people say, oh, just ignore it. But it's funny now, but the most hateful comment I receive regularly, and by regularly, it's not like every day, it's probably once a week, is, and you are allowed to laugh, people write, what is wrong with her eyebrows? Because I draw them on. And I'd just like to say on the record that my eyebrows stop there, and I'm not comfortable with that. So I draw the ends on and just go for the full shebang because they're so little. And I shaved them off in year 4 and they never grew back. Because you know when you start playing about with your dad's razor as a kid.
And you shaved your eyebrows, did you?
It was like the sides of them like this. So they don't grow past there. And everyone, I think, if that's the worst you can throw at me, I can deal with that, because... what's wrong with her eyebrows? I'm like, nothing really.
I think it's a cool, distinctive feature as well, because Cara Delevingne, she got a modelling contract
for big eyebrows.
So there you go.
Yeah. But
stick it to them, Ellie.
Thanks, I will do, yeah.
Usually when you shave them off when you're younger, they grow back thicker and bushier, don't they?
No, that's just my moustache, not the one at the top.
The bits that you don't want to grow back.
Yeah. This is the part where we say there's no moustache there, Ellie.
No, but there is. And it's like something you don't expect to deal with when you like get into your mid to late 20s as a woman. You start growing black hairs on your chin and your tash gets worse. You think, do I bleach, do I wax, do I beat it or whatever?
I'm going to from this with us now. I'll have to walk in and like, she's there. Oh, are you plucking there? What's going on there? What's going on there?
It's real, and you like sweat so bad as well. It's like menopausal symptoms.
Again, she's going to hate me for this, but I don't think she listens that much. She did do it for a while. She started getting like the grey hairs as well, and like they're just like the odd one, but she'll go, oh my god, look at that one, and I'll have to. She can't get them for some reason, so I have to go in and pull them out.
Pull them out?
Yeah,
I don't know if that's a good thing.
And then I look at them like,
I think they grow back more if you pull them out.
Oh really? Well, I look at them like, that is proper white, to the root, like proper. I'm like looking at that, it's proper white. Yeah,
I found my first one last week.
It's
still there somewhere. It's in here. Yeah, I just brush it over. Just ignore it's there.
I've got no greys, but I'm receding as we know.
I don't think you're receding.
I'm receding. I'm going thin.
Oh gosh, well I am there as well. I just blame everyone on endo, so don't worry about that. Just only recede.
Should we carry on blaming things on endo, Ellie?
Yeah,
I know I've thrown a few stats out. You mentioned the documentary.
Yeah.
If someone's brand new to this chat and they have no idea what endometriosis is, how would you summarise it?
Well, I can give you the NHS example or my example. I'm going to give you my example because you can Google the NHS example, but it starts the same. Endometriosis is where tissue similar to the lining of the uterus, so what a woman sheds when she has a period, grows elsewhere in the body. But you might think, oh, well, where does it grow? Just the gynae area. And no, it grows on people's brains, on their lungs, on their kidneys, on their livers, on their hearts, on their bladder, on their bowel, on their windpipe as well. All these crazy places. I have to try really hard not to swear because it really winds me up.
Swear away, honestly. I win that one on this podcast.
Well, because if you go on the NHS website, it says endometriosis is where tissue similar to the lining of the uterus grows elsewhere in the gynecological area, or doesn't mention anything about it being a full body condition. And then it says the symptoms are heavy bleeding, migraines, and that's pretty much it. There's a couple of others, but that doesn't even touch the surface of what it is, right? So I was diagnosed 4 years ago next month. And the symptoms that I feel on the daily, some are worse than others though. And in the same way that like a disability is up and down, like chronic illness is a bit of it feels so cringe and a bit of a roller coaster. You don't really want to say that, but it is up and down every day. And it does depend on what you've done. But starting from the head, you get migraines, you can get vertigo, dizziness, You have bleeding gums, receding gums. I've got a lot of lipstick on, so I won't give you a bit of that. But mine are like, they look like cat teeth. I've got such bad receding gums at the top. Mouth ulcers as well. You can get coughing up blood. Luckily, I've never had that. Shortness of breath. They try and say you might have POTS as well. Breast tenderness, lads, we're all in this together. If you feel it sort of hurts to breathe, that kind of thing. And then getting onto your pain elsewhere, you get sciatica, you get neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain. You're more likely to be hypermobile. I am as well, and obviously that causes a lot of pain and that, because you're always in out, shake it all up like a skeleton moving around. The bottom of your back really hurts, and then onto your abdomen, it blows up like you're pregnant. So I had this really bad yesterday. And on top of your stomach blowing up, which obviously causes body image issues naturally, you have like shooting pain, electric pain, burning pain, spiky pain. I always describe it as like Freddy Krueger or Wolverine getting a hand in there and twisting it. It's like the worst pain. And women who have had children, by the way, who have endometriosis, liken it to contractions when you're having a really bad episode.
Wow.
So insane pain, also heavy bleeding, prolonged bleeding. I went through a period of bleeding for 3 months on, and then about 3 weeks off for about 3 years. So it's very, like the right number, just there was a pattern. And because of that factor, the NHS will only give you hormonal contraceptives to deal with endometriosis, because people just see it as that bleeding. But you can have joint pain, joint swelling. You're more likely to have celiac disease, which I do. So you stay clear of gluten. You can't mess about with that, even though people think that's a bit of a fad.
So is that the same for everyone who has endometriosis?
It's not the same. It's like you're 4 times more likely. Sorry, I should be clear. 4 times more likely to have celiac disease, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, and heart disease as well. But you would never be like, what? Endo and heart disease? So they're all the symptoms and more as well. I should say, disrupted sleep cycles and other muscle spasms. But, people can add so many more. But yeah, that's what it is and how it can affect your body. And on top of that, fertility, 50% of those with endo can't have children. And you can practice, but you can't practice getting pregnant in that sense. So, I might go to do it in 2 years and be like, well, I'm 30 now, I'm going to give it a go. And they're like, oh, sorry, you're totally mashed up down there. So it's not an option. And that's like the worst thing ever, isn't it, really?
Wow, so you don't know whether you can have kids yet?
I had my operation 4 years ago, so they diagnosed it. And this hasn't changed in like 60 years, by the way. Talk about female healthcare being in the bin. They diagnose you through, when you have your appendix out, you have keyhole surgery. They go in 3 different places, blow you up, have a mess about. That's what they do for endo. And endometriosis looks like little scabs. But again, that's only looking at endo in the gynae area. So it's such a fight to say, well, is it on my bladder? Is it on my bowel? But when they had a looking at me, mine was on my bladder, mine was on my pouch of Douglas. I didn't even know what that was until recently. It's like your front and your back, it's in the middle somewhere.
Okay. I've actually never heard that.
Same, yeah. I'd like to say I'm somewhat clued up in A&P as well, but
I thought it was supposed to be the body and stuff like that.
Pouch of Douglas.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just a female thing, but it's sort of like behind. Are we doing like medical terms, like the rectum and the front bum?
I thought you were talking about your dog again.
No. So it's like in the middle. So obviously, if I go to the loo, that's the other thing I've not mentioned. Very important is that like trying to do the other thing, excruciatingly painful, and blood can come out either way as well, not related to a period. So yeah, it was there, and then it was on where my ovaries sit, and it was just dotted around my womb. But at the time, I'd woke up from surgery like, what is going on? And she showed me these pictures, and they looked like these little brown scabs everywhere. And then she went, right, okay, we're going to discharge you now. And the only follow-up I ever had, think about what other surgery. I didn't even have this with my appendix, and I had my appendix out for no reason, which is a common story for people with endo, because your pain mimics appendicitis. They go in there, they think, oh, well, we've gone in, even though it's only a tiny bit inflamed, take it out. And you didn't actually have appendicitis.
So you went in with pain from the endometriosis?
When I was 17, because I wasn't diagnosed yet. I had my appendix out for no reason.
Oh my God.
Yeah, let's sue.
How common's that?
Oh my gosh. If I could think about it from the amount of people I speak to, I'd say probably like 3 in every 5 women I speak to have got endo. And I mean, I've had, because one of my posts blew up recently, famous, I've had like hundreds, if not 1,000 messages from women telling me about other experiences. It's so common. But yeah, so I had a follow-up about 3 months later on somebody on the phone said, oh, you on the pill? And I said, yeah. And they said, oh, well, you shouldn't be in pain then. And I was thinking, what? But I didn't have any education of it at that point. I thought, yeah, I knew I've got it, but I thought, is this just what they do? And then they rang me, I can't remember if it was 6 or 9 months later, will you have the Marina coil fitted? And I said, I don't want that fitted. And they were like, well, we're going to discharge you because we can't do anything else for you. And that was like 3.5, 4 years ago. And ever since then, I'm like, this it now then, lads. You know, and people are getting hysterectomies thinking they're cures and they're not, because you never get rid of the disease. You know, you can scoop it out so you don't have periods, but that's it. It's crazy.
That's crazy at 17 years old as well, like having someone else make that choice almost for you. I'm sure there was things that had to be like signed or whatever, but to like just have a medical professional who you trust and you think you're doing the right thing, and they're taking bits of your body out that never actually need to be taken out. And you said something like it's not moved on in 60 years.
Yeah, how they diagnose it,
Why is that the case? What's going on there? Because it seems phenomenally common.
Well, I'll try and do this quick because I know I've already taken up 4 hours of your life, but
I'm all in now. I want to know.
Good.
Fire away.
I'm so glad you're covering this because me and Ryan.
Yeah,
well,
I mean, we've
got
got female listeners who will be absolutely, all over this. Yeah, because it sounds very common as well.
Oh, it's 1 in 10 women have endo, right? But now the NHS is drafting these new tests of ways to diagnose it easier. So through like a saliva test or a wee test or something like that. And that we'll get onto that. That's great. But then what about all the women that are going to be waiting for their operation to properly diagnose it? So when all that happens, when it's easier to diagnose, it'll probably be like 1 in 7. It's more likely. It's so common. So about 60, 70 years ago, the only study that was ever done on endometriosis was by a bloke saying that endometriosis is the disease of the woman that wants to be independent. So it was like a sexist thing where it was like, oh, well, women who are just in pain are being hysterical and they're just trying to, I don't know what the word is, like do too much on their own and that's why they're in pain and that sort of thing.
Wasn't taken seriously, basically.
Oh my God, no, it's still not now. But and the other thing as well is that, for medical research and stuff, women's bodies weren't operated on. So how they like test things on people or like study the male anatomy, like the female anatomy just wasn't studied. And it was only, I think it was in the 90s that female bodies actually started being studied more. Like obviously people knew where things were and stuff, but in the same way that male bodies are. So the male way that men have heart attacks and the female way is totally different, right? The symptoms that come up, but we only base it off, on the NHS website, what happens to a man. The same way, how does autism or ADHD show itself? We've studied men for that. We've not studied women, which is why it's harder for girls to get diagnosed. That sort of situation for a lot of medical reasons. The research isn't there, the funding isn't there, there's sexism in terms of people think it's a period disease. Hopefully I've proved it's not. And people just have this stereotype, don't they, that, oh gosh, women have periods and women want time off work and it's like, even if you just had a normal period, it's the worst thing ever. No offence, and I'm not, you two obviously stand-up guys, but would you want to be bleeding out the end of your bits for a week? I don't think so, no. But that's what it is.
Well, we're very sympathetic because we coach females, and we have done since we got into coaching, and I was so naive to what went on and how tough it is. But then when you speak to women who are really, really strong mentally, physically, they can come in the gym and squat some crazy numbers, deadlift. These are physically strong women, right?
Yeah.
And then they're really struggling with it. Okay, this obviously, this is not something to be taken lightly here.
No, and I think on top of that as well, the general reporting, and I say this as somebody that works in the media, the reporting of endometriosis is wrong. So I've done a couple of reports for Look North, telly, like regional telly, and obviously on my own show and stuff. And Emma Barnett in her documentary did it a lot better, actually. It was probably the first time I've heard it different. But we always say endometriosis is a gynecological condition that affects 1 in 10 women that can cause heavy bleeding and migraines and bloated belly or whatever. And it's like, why are we calling it a gynecological condition when it affects people's brain and lungs? And that takes it away as well, doesn't it? You just think, oh, well, I'm turning this off. I'm not interested. I've not got it, that sort of thing.
Talk me through that biological process. How does something that obviously starts and should be a gynecological issue, how does it end up on the brain, on the windpipe? How does that happen?
Well, this is the amazing thing, is that research is being done in more recent years anyway, where they're trying to figure out, is it a hormonal issue? Is it an autoimmune disease? It spreads like cancer. So they're thinking about trialing women who have got it severely, because there is a stage 1, 2, 3, 4 of the disease and the spread and where it is and stuff, that the same drugs that they give women with breast cancer, they're going to give it to women with endo to see if it, because if you think about it, it is a benign cancer, to try and stop the spread of the disease, that kind of thing. But again, even in 2026, they don't actually know what causes endometriosis.
It's fascinating,
isn't it crazy? With what other disease have you got with that? You know how things, even with celiac, it's like when something's going off wrong in your small intestine. I mean, obviously I do know more, but I don't want to bore your audience, but they don't even know what causes it, and it's 1 in 10 women. What?
I mean, 1 in 10 women in this country. What's that? That's like
10 million.
10 million, over 10 million women.
190 million women globally.
That's mental. But do you know what it is? I think, and this is always fascinates me about what gets pushed from a research point of view, is it's also like what's popular, what's in the news.
Yeah.
Like, why are we letting like pop culture and like all that stuff decide like what's what's kind of interesting, what's being put on the mainstream? People are suffering here. If people are suffering, it should be explored, whether it's popular to everyone else or not. But I think it's fantastic that you're doing this stuff, because again, like, you're trying to get it out there, and the more awareness you can create and other people can create, the more it is pushed. You play in the game basically, aren't you, to a certain degree. Like, you're trying to get it in the kind of media so that it becomes this thing that everyone's suffering and goes, okay, women are suffering here, let's look into this more.
I feel like we need more of that though. Like, more people, like Ryan said, playing the game in a way that, we might have to look at these people who maybe are doing these underhand tactics, spreading terrible messages, and giving someone like yourself, who's got this great message, a great platform, and do the same, Ellie. Just keep pushing it. I'm really shocked that endo isn't actually classed as an autoimmune condition.
Yeah.
Because
they haven't put the research in, but it probably is though. If you're linking it to celiac and MS and all of that, well, it probably would make sense that it was an autoimmune condition, right? And you think about all the extra things, all the add-ons with that, but that's the thing that's the most stark, I think. Like, it spreads like cancer. I'm not saying that I've got cancer or I would compare myself to somebody that has cancer, but you've got this thing in your body that, it spreads like fire. It's awful, and there's nothing you can do about it, because they say take the pill, have a hysterectomy, which isn't a cure because there is no cure, or go into pseudomenopause, which is where they put you into a chemical menopause, chemical-induced menopause. So you have all these menopausal symptoms. You're not actually in menopause, but that's meant to help. But then again, what is that navigating towards? Only the period side of the disease, and that's it. And I'm on my way now to getting a second surgery because my pain's so bad, I can't bear it. I don't have a social life. This is the bit where it goes black and white and we all cry, by the way. I don't have a social life, I don't do anything, because I'm in such bad pain all the time. And like, today's actually all right. Yesterday was awful. I'm up all night. I'm codeine. I'm like, going crazy on painkillers, and it's so awful, and it's debilitating as well. And I think there might be just women's pain in general, isn't it really? People are a bit like, I
totally agree. Yeah, I think men more than women for sure, but I'm sure you get some women as well who probably don't get periods that bad, and never really have, because it's like a spectrum, right? You get some women who have it horrendously, some women who the whole life just never really get it that bad. It
weren't like that in my day. We just got on with it. I'm like, love, well, women didn't work in your day, you know what I mean? And I am, so throw me a bone. Jeez, it's true.
Why don't you think it's more spoken about or more mainstream? Is it down to the lack of research, do you think? Is that the main thing for you?
Yeah, I think so. And just people's general consensus of what it is. Like, at the end of the day, it's like, if you don't have something, or your family member doesn't have something, you're not really going to know too much about it. Referencing celiac again, it's like, not everybody knows what celiac is, fine. Like, I don't want to beat them up over it. But when you've got something that affects so many people, you would think, I'm not allowed to get political, I'm not getting political, it doesn't matter what party would be in power, you would think that there would be a government-induced NHS strategy and pathway for endometriosis, right? And there's nothing. It is, you get referred to gynecology, the people at gynecology see you, and this is the back and forth because the doctors don't believe you or whatever, they don't want to give you surgery. And if we had an endometriosis pathway within the NHS, so you go to gynae, I am showing all these different symptoms and then go into it, then people would be diagnosed earlier and they wouldn't be wondering all that. Like, you think about I think it's something like 80% of the women in IVF clinics have got endo, and yet they're not all diagnosed. It's infuriating. But I just think unless policymakers understand how much it affects the economy, they won't do out about it. And it costs the economy £8 billion a year, and 1 in 6 women with endometriosis stop going to work because of it. There's your policy facts. But I'm hoping, especially with Emma Barnett's documentary, that something is coming in the next few years in terms of, and we have a female health secretary now, Yvette Cooper. Hopefully she will do something about it. We'll see what happens. There's actually something going through government at the minute about an inquiry into how the workplace treats women with endo, and it's not like a small scale thing. It's probably the biggest thing that's ever passed through Parliament, because there was a woman called Sanjeev who got dismissed because of her endo and successfully sued her employer and won. It took her 7 years, but it's the only time anybody's ever managed to do it, and it's because it got classed as a disability, even though it's not classed as a disability. Should it be classed as a disability? That's another contentious subject in the endo community. So, yeah.
I think that's the hard bit, because there's a lot of, taxonomy of words and, how is it classified? But the key thing is that there's people out there who are struggling, and this isn't me trying to empathise in a way, but as someone, I've got something called axial spondyloarthritis, is autoimmune. And in order to get my diagnosis as early as what I did, I had to go in with a list of what was wrong, do my own research and say, I need an MRI because I need you to prove this. And I think it's a shame that that's the case, because a lot of the medical community now should be down to let's eliminate things. And for me to actually go in and to say, I remember we spoke about this. How did you get your diagnosis? And for me, I had to be so forward and so against my nature to say, this is what I think it is. I want you to prove it.
And that's the other thing as well. The reason why maybe people don't speak about it as much is because maybe not everybody does know someone with endo, because the woman that's been going to the GPs that, you work with for 9 years has been going there and they've been telling her she's not got it, even though she has got it. And that was like with me, I had to become an expert in something I didn't even know I had. You have to go in and be like, look, mate, I'm serious about it. And eventually, I won't say his name because I did a webinar recently and they said, please don't say his name just in case he listens. But my consultant for endo when I got diagnosed I remember he was sat like really opposite me. I remember a really long table for some reason. Before he put me on the waiting list for surgery, he said to me, he listened to my symptoms and he went, probably won't be endometriosis. This was the main endo guy at the hospital who, could have given me a bit of like, oh, I believe you. It probably, and then I was riddled with it. And this was 4 years ago. That's the other thing to note as well. You have surgery, they can burn a bit off or cut a bit out, or even if they get it all, it just grows back. It is an immune issue, isn't it, really? It just grows back. So, full disclosure, I don't get embarrassed about talking about it. Going to the toilet is like, it's a struggle, man. Sorry. So I know that it's like up my bowel. I already know it's on my bladder, but I'm up weeing all the time. If I ever drink, I'm like your worst enemy. I'm like up, down the stairs, talk about breaking the seal. So I know it's spread, but if you do have surgery, they say that you are most likely to conceive within a year of having the surgery, because it might take, they estimate, a year to all grow back. So, you know, if I have that surgery next year, I mean, poor Jordan, he's going to feel like the pressure is on. So I sort of have to think about when I want to have that.
Pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
As long as you don't score him.
Well, that's it. I've got to make sure that he is actually here. Can you imagine? 7, 7.5, 7, 7, 7. That's how they have it, yeah.
Feedback afterwards. What can I do better? What can I do better, love?
Come on, coach. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that was going to be one of my questions about, away from the pain, are there any other symptoms that maybe people can be aware of? So if they are going to the GP and they are saying, here's what pain I'm in, but here's something else that I've got, just living with it in general, away from the pain maybe.
As in how it affects your daily life sort of thing, or other symptoms. I'll roll with the question. You can tell me if I'm right or wrong.
I'm thinking more like brain fog, which is really common in autoimmune stuff. But again, and any way you want to take that question, Ellie, go for it.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I mean, for me, the brain fog, people... When I went to look north recently, I had somebody said to me, when I said, oh, you know, I'm having really bad brain fog today, it was like, oh, you get up at 3:30. And I was like, no. I was like, there's a difference between being a bit knackered and talking like Yoda, or you're reading something and it's going backwards and you're thinking, what am I doing here? And you just get brain blocked. So there's been a few times on air, this is when it's the scariest for me, is when I'm on air and for a split second I forget where I am and it's 100% brain fog induced, and I'm sat there and I think, did I just swear? Something came out, and it's usually oh my God, but I think, did I just say oh my God?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, Nick and Elliot aren't looking shocked at me, so maybe I didn't, but you can't think straight. You're so... I mean, there's nothing that can make you concentrate. All you can do is when you get home, even when I'm driving sometimes, I'm just like, oh gosh, I just need to get home. Like, I'm nervous that I'm driving kind of thing. There is the neurological side. There's also another side away from pain where you can get tremors and shakiness. So my legs shake really bad, but then I'm like self-diagnosing with MS as well. So I don't know, but obviously I don't. You know, or I get my thumbs spasm, or I look like a bit of a platypus sometimes. My toes go get stuck like that, all these crazy things. I mean, the biggest thing other than a pain down here is I have this sciatica or pain in my neck, and it feels like a trapped nerve that no matter how much I bang it or whatever, but shoulder tip pain's a big thing with endo, so that's another thing to think about. But more than anything, just the fatigue. You're just wading through mud and everything's exhausting and people don't get it, and it doesn't matter how many Instagram reels I post about it online. I'm not expecting people to line up at work and go, Ellie, how are you today? Right now I can get on with my day. I'm not expecting that, but just a bit of, you know, courtesy. If a meeting's gone on really long or I'm sat there and I'm just thinking, oh my God, I might even be like touching my belly or something. It's just somebody just to be like, oh my gosh, you're all right. Like, do you want to get off? But that doesn't happen. And I am supported by my workplace, certain people, but I think it's hard as well, given what people think of it. It's a gynae issue. People are, oh, I'm not going to talk about that. I speak to everybody about it, all the men, all the women. I had it the other day. I won't say her name because I love her, and I don't think she understood how I took it. But I was having such a bad day yesterday. She goes to me, and I've even done videos about this. I thought, you need to watch my videos. She went, oh, I remember when my periods were really bad. I was like, please stop. It's not, because it isn't the same. And that's the reason why some women can have periods that don't hurt, that don't stop them from doing their daily activities. And that's great. But with endo periods are like, woo, it's crazy.
I always joke that me and Ryan as coaches spend a good chunk of time with our female clients talking about poo and periods, to be honest. And that's great. And that's great that people are very open and very receptive to it. But I mean, how does that look from how we would direct questions, by the way?
Yeah, no, I love a direct question. I'm here.
How does that affect you, maybe on a personal level, from a period perspective, if you're willing to share? You know, is it prolonged? Is it irregular? Is it does it happen at all?
So it will it will come when it wants. So that's a very annoying thing. This is really personal, and you've not asked me this, but hopefully it just breaks a bit of stigma down. I wear a pad every day because I don't know when it's gonna happen, and I'm not trying to make you feel awkward. I'm sorry if I did. You didn't give me that impression, but I'm just saying that because if I start my period, it's like bang straight away. I started mine when I was 11, when Despicable Me 1 came out. It was at the cinema. I'm sat there with my mum, my Aunt Lou. Well, Mum wasn't in the cubicle, and I was like, and then it was all like, "You've become a woman," and it was the worst day of my life. But when you
I love how you remember what movie it was as well.
Yeah,
like,
I remember because I was like, Despicable Me's on, and this has just happened, and it's scary and horrible, but
I'll never look at Grew the Same.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I love that. So funny. So, but usually when you start your period, you might have one in April, and then you might have one in October, and then you might have December, and then from January, the regular. But I'm like, bang, 7 days straight away, regular. I remember being in a science class in year 8, so we're like 13. And Mr. So-and-so, we'll call him, we're saying, oh, your periods last 3 to 5 days. And I'm thinking, gosh, mine lasts like 2 to 3 weeks. I said, sir, what happens if they last longer? And his response verbatim, and this is 2012, so it's not like the 1970s. His response was, they shouldn't do. That was it. We were never taught about adenomyosis, PCOS, endometriosis, fibroids, anything like that. But we talk about that boys have wet dreams. You tell me what's more important as somebody who's experienced it. You just think, God, and this is why men grow up scared of tampons, in my opinion, because we don't always include them in the period education. Not that there's a lot of it, but it's kind of, I don't know why we still have this. I'm not saying that you want to have sex education and puberty with everybody all at once, because people might want to ask their own questions and things like that. But when you split it up, it feels like it's even split now. It feels a funny thing for me to say to my boyfriend, oh, can you get me some pads? He wouldn't ever make me feel that way because I'm so outspoken. But I bet there are some girls that are a bit like, well, I can't send
100%.
Joe to the shop to get tampons, which is crazy, isn't it, really? But my periods are, when they come and they're really bad, they can last for 3 weeks at a time, really, really heavy, going through several tampons, pads a day. The pain is insane. Like, you literally talk about brain fog, fatigue, all of it. It's so, so awful. The pain is excruciating. Your legs feel like you've run a marathon. It feels like you've had dumbbells dropped on your thighs. They're so painful. It's just really awful. But I did go through a period, if you pardon the pun, of having it 3 months on, 3 weeks off for 3 years, and that's when I had the implant in my arm, which is a form of contraception, and that inflamed it to the highest degree. But I could have a period for 3 weeks and then come off for 2 weeks and then go back on for 3 weeks. And I take the pill every day, so I'm not meant to have a bleed at all. But that's endo for you. But that's the only treatment there is. So what else am I meant to do?
I think for us as men and for us as dads, I think it's really important to just be aware of this, because we might have females in our family, or people might be listening who have young daughters who don't just want to label maybe their daughter as a hypochondriac.
Yeah.
Like, you're looking for this, or like not really understanding it. Whereas if they know that, I remember that podcast with Ellie and she mentioned about X, Y, and Z, it could be an issue. Like, I'm probably going to encourage people, especially if they've got, women in their life, like, what sort of questions can we ask them? How can we help? I mean, as far as maybe misunderstandings or things that maybe us as men are like, how can we help? What sort of stuff can we do to support?
Oh, here I am, agony aunt. I just want to add to that as well, that when I was 14, that's when I first started going to the GPs, right? Because my periods were insane, and they put me on the pill because they were like, oh, we'll manage your periods, and it obviously wasn't because I was sexually active at that age, but that was the worry from my mum. And really, if somebody is showing symptoms that young, which isn't rare, going on the pill, even though parents might be like, I don't want to put my 13-year-old daughter on the pill. You think, well, actually, that is the best way to start managing it at that age, because they're not going to get a diagnosis until they're well into their 20s. I mean, one of my mum's friends now, her daughter's 16, really, she's clearly got endo, and they keep telling her she's too young. That is, it's not just opinion and nonsense, it's not correct. It's just like a totally bogus fact. And I think the way that I think partners can best support their girlfriends, and this has been a big learning curve for my boyfriend Jordan, because he's sort of just been thrown into all this, is checking in, asking, are you okay, or how are you feeling? And if I'm feeling okay in the morning, it doesn't mean I'm going to be feeling okay at 12. It doesn't mean I'm going to be feeling okay at 3. It's kind of like checking in all the time. Is there anything I can do for you? Sometimes I go, no. And because he's got ADHD and he takes things literally, he goes, all right then, I'm not even joking. And I'm not naive and think, oh, he's just trying to get away with it. Because then I explain, I was like, Jordan, come on, like, you could have given me a bit of comfort then. He goes, oh, well, you didn't say. And I'm like, okay, so I have to be really direct conversation with him, asking if he can help in any way, hot water bottles, that kind of thing. And I hate to say this, but if somebody's not getting anywhere at the doctors and they've clearly got endo, you have to go with them, because they will listen more if you bring a bloke or bring somebody else with you. And I'm not just this big anti-men. Of course, I'm not, love men. But it does help to bring a guy with you, because then they take... I mean, there's so many research studies about a woman rings up with a problem about a kid. The dad does the same thing. The dad's straight through to triage, and the woman's like, oh, come, call us back, that sort of situation. But really, it's just about supporting them and being aware of their limitations, not forcing them to go on a 500-mile hike, not forcing them to go out and have a big social life, not forcing them to go at it like rabbits, shall we say, in the bedroom, which, I mean, has got complications of its own, because you shouldn't be with someone that forces you to do that, obviously. But it's just being patient with people, isn't it? And just knowing as well, that periods are major things and they happen to all women, and it's not just something to be, like, scoffed at,
Mine, I'm not sure what your missus is like, but she kind of keeps it all to herself. We don't... I feel quite bad now because we don't really discuss it at all.
Well, you must from today.
Yeah, it makes me... But I like to think she's... I mean, she definitely doesn't suffer bad with it. That's for sure. I think she has it pretty good. She'll be shouting down the kind of...
She's like, this is the worst week of the month.
I know. But, maybe it is something that we need to be more aware of, because... And I don't want to sound like a very typical bloke, although maybe that's a good place to start with some of the questions. Like, obviously, when women go through their period every month, hormonally, like mood swings, things like that are all a big part of it, right?
Yeah.
Is that the same for you for like the whole 3 weeks? So when you get this bout of endometriosis where it's on for 3 weeks, like, are you like that all the time? Are you, low in mood? Are you kind of up and down in terms of your kind of happiness? And does that last for the full 3 weeks?
Yeah. Do you know what it is for me more than anything? I get anxiety, and I don't get it at any other time, but there is a direct link between... It's not even proper menstruation, because it's like a pill bleed mixed with endometriosis, and it's all complicated. But I get so nervous and pitter-patter, pitter-patter, pitter. You've seen that video, pitter-patter, might throw up. That's how I feel. And I get nervous about walking the dog, going to the shop, checking my emails, answering the phone. And I'm not like that normally. Like today, I'm like, yeah, man, this is fun. I could take on the world. I'm tired and stuff and a bit hot, but I'm all right. There's another thing, temperature as well, is you can't regulate your temperature properly. And I've not made that up. It's an actual endo symptom.
We've got clients who've had like menopause, perimenopause, and that's a big part of that, isn't it?
Temperature hands all the
time.
Yeah,
exactly. But it's you just feel so anxious, but that's only my experience. But Jordan is a lot better with that now, because sometimes I'll go to hug him and I'm laughing and I start crying and he's like, you all right, mate? And I'm like, no. And he says, I can't work out if you're crying or laughing, because I'm just on his back moving up and down like this, trying to hug him. And you do switch moods very quickly. But because I am the way I am, and this isn't a big thumbs up just to me, because I'm not egotistical, I love life. I don't take anything for granted. So even if I'm having a moment of anger, I don't show it or take it out on people. I'm sort of like, this will pass. Because there's so much going on in everybody's life, but especially recently, because my dad's 60 and he got diagnosed with dementia last year. Wow. And it's called early onset dementia. I didn't even know people get that, but it takes you quicker than regular dementia. So he's got a prognosis of 5 years, and it's been like a year and 3 to 4 months. And I just think, gosh, like, can you imagine me being annoyed because I'm in pain because my periods made me feel like that? And you just cannot I just don't agree with taking anything for granted and getting angry at people because my period made me do it. It's probably the right thing.
You can't think like, you can't diminish your pain because it's real. It's like,
you just hold it in, which is wrong, and I don't want to encourage that.
You speak about it, and like, when you were talking about like that how when it gets really severe and you're like, doubled over, that's real pain. Like, you can't diminish that, and everyone's pain is relative, right? And you're right, some people have got it way worse in certain situations, but you have to understand that everyone's in their own situation. My missus, her mum's got early onset of dementia as well. And she got it at like 55, 56, really, really early. And it's difficult because that's a completely different thing. It's not pain, it's this breaking down, isn't it? Which is quite a scary thing.
And they don't know.
And they don't know about it, yeah. And it's really frustrating because they know, they're like, some days they're there, some days they're not.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether you've seen that in your dad, where there's good and bad days kind of thing.
I mean, it's really difficult because and there's a weird link again, just always linking it back. If you've got endometriosis, you're more likely to get Alzheimer's. Google it, I'm not fibbing about. You can Google everything I say. But his mum died 2 weeks shy of 98 years old. And that was 2-3 years ago, and because she had him at the age of 40 in 1966, which was bare old to be having a baby in the 60s, and it was from a second relationship, so it's all like, oh God, you don't do that out of wedlock and stuff, even though times have changed now, thank goodness. So he always worried about his mum dying, and then she lived to nearly 100, and then she got dementia about 94, but by that time she was, she was immobile, really, because I mean, she'd lived a life. Potted meat and spam can only get you so far. You need to exercise a bit, bless her. And then his brother had died as well, as I told you, and then Gran died, and we were thinking, is this grief the way that he's at? Because that's awful, he never knew his dad, that sort of situation, and he's spoken about that before, but you just think, God, like, why is he acting this way? And he developed OCD, and everything had to be in a particular way, and he's very particular about certain things. And then he started having mood swings, and we'd be like, I can't believe you just said that. And he'd go, said what? And we genuinely were like, you were a rate liar, like, I can't believe you trying to get away. And he'd actually eventually genuinely forgotten that he just said something extreme. And my mum obviously noticed it, and then he went to his appointment at the memory clinic where they have to like draw the clock and remember an address, couldn't do it at all. And his, like, I only want to say so much, I know you're not forcing me to, but like, his brain scans are awful. And you just think, God, like, you should actually be acting worse than what you are.
Yeah.
And that's crazy because you can't do anything about it. We'll put you on a medical trial, but you might get the placebo, even though you might only have 6 months left. It's so awful. So
you treat it. I think that's the one thing I've realised in the Alzheimer's world. There obviously is no cure. Like, there isn't anything that can get you better. But you do notice things with your loved ones, don't you? And I never saw Amy's mum massive amounts, but Amy would come home and she'd mention little things, and it must be worse when it's someone you've grown up with and you're used to seeing a certain way, act a certain way, and they're very all over the show. And Amy's mum would go to the supermarket on the bus, and she'd do a whole shop, and then she'd get back home and she'd be like, I've left my shopping at the bus stop.
Oh, really?
And I'd be like, no, how have you done that? But at the start, you're like, oh, she's just forgetful. That's just, she's just, forgetting things.
Yeah.
But then that forgetting things becomes, like you said, like acting very irrationally.
Yeah.
And then also being quite, she said her mum was quite mean at times when she was never like that.
Yeah.
And I said, if your dad's had these mood swings, and he said something quite abrupt, straight away reminded me of what Amy said about her mum being a little bit mean.
Yeah.
And she's not like that, but I think it's just the brain trying to grasp what's real and what's not. And it must be horrible to go through as well, because you're in this yourself and you're not sure what's real and what's not. And it's like your mind playing tricks on you to a certain degree.
Do you know the big thing that burns down is the sense of like what's inappropriate, what's not inappropriate. I'm just going to say the wildest things right now, so obscene, and you're like, I can't believe you've just said that. Or your sense of instruction goes. So, you know, you go to make a cup of tea, you open the cupboard, you get the cup out, you get the tea, whatever. You're just in front of the cupboard. I know I need to do something, but what do I need to do? Yeah, crazy.
I think this is why it's so important for your loved ones to spend time around you,
Yeah.
be observant, ask questions, whether it is early onset dementia, whether it is endo, whether it is some sort of rheumatoid arthritis. You can only take so much ownership. Whereas I think if people around you are being quite observant and being aware of your health, and not just comparing how you were 20 years ago, 30 years ago, but saying, I can see things are deteriorating a bit. Can I help? Can I do something?
Caring about people.
Yeah.
I mean, please.
More of that.
Please.
More of that.
Peace and love.
I think, just think like that, you know, your mum's friend's daughter who's got, you think it's got endometriosis as well.
Yeah.
Like, how many other women, young girls, are suffering with that as well and are being turned away and just not taken seriously and sitting across the table from that, you know, GP, a consultant who's consultant, isn't it? Yeah, who's supposed to be giving you, who's supposed to be the expert in that field, supposed to be giving you sympathy, supposed to be letting you know that everything, you know, is going to be okay. And like, if there's anyone out there that should understand this, it's the guy that really understands this. And he's saying, nah, you probably ain't got it, love. Do you know what I mean?
Can I tell you a bit of my story? Because it'll blow your mind. I don't know if Brad's already told you from what I told him, but I started going to the doctor at 14, as I said. They put me on the pill. The pill can give you suicidal thoughts. I'm totally out there right now. I don't have suicidal thoughts anymore, and I literally had them for about 3 months, thank God, because I realised it was this pill that begins with R. Some people know, some people don't. Okay. Anyway, this combined pill. So they put me on another pill, and I was thinking, right, okay, still getting really bad periods. This is awful. Like, to the point where my mum thought I was making it up, because you would. And then I got diagnosed with celiac at 15. So they said, oh, you've got all this bloating and digestive issues. It's celiac disease. And it continued. And obviously the periods were really bad. Going back, 16, 17, get my appendix out for no reason. 18, I thought, enough of this nonsense. And I've been to the doctors back and forth a little bit, and they told me that I got depression, that I'd got pelvic inflammatory disease, which I didn't have. It was endometriosis. They're just diagnosing me with all, really. And then they said that I've got an STI, and I didn't have an STI. They said, go to the clinic and they'll communicate with us. So, you know, legs up, giving a bit of this AIDS test and everything. So extreme. The clinic never, because if you've not got old, they don't say anything, do they? So I was thinking, right, so I booked back in with a GP 6 months later, and they were like, oh, well, they never sent us that you didn't have anything, so you have to go back. I'm like, what STI makes you have really heavy bleeding? But they were just dismissing me and saying, and again, it's a common story. So I know you're a bit like, really? It's a common story.
No,
it's got to be something.
I'm pulling that face. I'm like, how, after all these trips, and even like your mum to a certain degree, not 100% believing that you were right.
Yeah.
It just blows my mind that like, you had to go through all this.
And you have obviously you've had babies, so you know, not you personally, but like, you know, with people, and you have the ultrasound across the belly, or you have a transvaginal which goes up. This is a proper science lesson, not at the same time. And then it should be able to see if you've got cysts or whatever. And they'll say to you, oh, we'll be able to tell if you've got endometriosis off these scans. Again, not an opinion, absolute incorrect. It's just not true, because I had a normal ultrasound, nothing showed up on there. Had the one that went up, nothing showed up on there. They wanted to discharge me. I went back again, right, we're going to do one more ultrasound, then we'll book you in with the endo consultant if you think, because I was at this point, I was like this is ridiculous. I was 20 or something, still going back and forth.
Did you think it was endometriosis by this point?
Yeah.
You were pretty convinced.
Oh,
I know this is what I've got. I just need to get a diagnosis.
From just Googling it. And this is, you know, when we were growing up, because we're not too dissimilar in age, like I'm 28 this year. Social media, I know there was like MSN or whatever, I wasn't allowed that, but Facebook had just sort of come about. Instagram was in its very early stages, and there wasn't a lot on social media like there is now, sort of health influencers. It was all just Googling it and trying to diagnose yourself. So I eventually had another scan, and they said that I had 2 chocolate cysts, which sounds nice, but they're not nice. And endometriosis, do you remember I said it looks like a brown scab? So it's like 2 big clusters of endo. cysts are nothing to worry about, we're discharging you. And I was like, I'm going to lose my mind.
So they actually found it, basically.
Oh, they found it, and then they told me, don't worry about it. And it's never like, okay, sorry, we didn't find anything, or we did find something, but what's the cause of your pain? It's we didn't find anything, goodbye. They're not bothered. So I was in such shock, complained eventually, saw the consultant who told me it probably won't be endometriosis. 12 months later, I had a laparoscopy that it was endometriosis. I was expecting like a firework to go off or something to congratulate me for all my hard work.
Just go back to that. You had a what that confirmed it? A
laparoscopy, it's called, keyhole surgery to check.
Is that the most definitive way of proving?
The only way.
Is it?
It's the gold standard, doctors call it. They don't diagnose it any other way.
How does someone get that if they think they have endometriosis? What route? Because God forbid they have to go through the route you went through, right?
Oh, they will, though.
They will, really?
Well,
they'll have to jump through some hoops.
How it's. I had a gynecology appointment this year with an amazing guy at the Hallamshire at Jessop's who said he's the best gynecologist I've ever seen at this big age. And he said, because it's been 4 years, we want to go and have a look in again. And I explained my story and he said, it is getting better. So hopefully it is getting better. We don't want to just like doom and gloom people. It should be getting better. And the more we do this, it gets better, right?
Good, yeah.
But you have to go to GPs. Your GP has to refer you to gynecology. At gynecology, you have to get seen by an endometriosis consultant. So this whole journey, you have to be saying, I know I've got endometriosis, because if you go in and say I've got periods and migraines, they might go, well, you're a woman. So you have to be sure of yourself, abrupt, serious with them, that kind of thing. And then eventually the endometriosis consultant will say, right, we're going to put you on the waiting list for a laparoscopy, which is what I'm on now, which it's only 2-3 months at the minute, so I could be whizzed off there and come back and let you know how it all was, do a diary entry. But yeah, mine was 12 months, and then they go in there, they stick these 3 pins in, they blow you up, they got a camera in there, and they'll just see if you've got it or not. Wow. No other way to diagnose it, even in 2026. You have to have surgery. How invasive.
Wow. That's the big issue as well. It's the surgery. It's the fact it has to be done surgically. Like, that's not something the NHS is just going to throw around willy-nilly, is it? There needs to be something, another test, some way of diagnosing it.
Well, that's what they're trying to do now. Called endo test and endosure, which is a saliva test. Another one where they fit you with these. Have you watched E.T.?
Yeah.
You know where they've been in the creek and they go in the hospital and they're all wired up like this?
Okay, yeah.
I know it's a bit of a niche reference, but so women will have to get that, and they'll have to drink loads of water, and they send these like electronic frequencies to, and it should be able to tell if you've got endo. But the drafts have been green lighted by the NHS. It doesn't mean that they're definitely coming, and where they will come, to what GP surgeries, we don't know, and you'll still have to wait for your laparoscopy. But there's movement in that
progress.
camp. Yeah.
Just to, I suppose, back Ellie's story up, like, I've got some really sorry stats if you care to hear it.
Yeah, sure. I can just relax and listen.
Yeah, so two in particular about GP visits is 70% had visited their GP at least 5 times. This is people who were diagnosed with endometriosis. 47% of people surveyed had visited their GP 10 or more times before diagnosis.
What problem would you go to the GP? Can you imagine? I've got chest pain, A&E.
I'd have to have a limb hanging off, personally.
Well, exactly.
Unless they were really bad.
Even with with celiac, it wasn't found through my digestive problems. Somebody said, oh, your legs are well swollen. Have you ever been tested for celiac? And I said, no. And it was a joint pain thing. And that was just given to me,
It's funny, isn't it, with diagnosis? I think when you go to your GP and you say you've got pains that are maybe more associated with period pains, they'll immediately jump to the least kind of... Oh,
it's just period pain.
Yeah, rather than going, let's start with the most severe things could potentially be and work backwards from there.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen like that, does it? And if you went in with period pains and the first test you got was the one that they're working on now, where they put the electrodes on, and they make you do that while you're getting it done. If they started there and go, right, well, we would definitely, it's not endometriosis, or you know what, it might be.
Yeah.
But there's something here.
Yeah.
You have got a green or red light as the fact of what it might be. It's almost like you have to work your way and weave your way towards that. I don't understand, again, why don't we just start there and work our way back? And
that's just a draft at this point as well.
Yeah, because I don't. I also want to know the stats on how many women go in, and maybe it is just like a period pain, and it's just a particularly bad one. They're having it for a short period of time, and then that goes, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they are reading things online, and maybe they're potentially misdiagnosed. And I'm sure there's some of that as well, for sure.
Of course, yeah.
But it's difficult, isn't it? You have to be sympathetic, and you would. And I'm just so shocked that that consultant wasn't backing you. I mean, he was like,
even at the end.
Yeah. I
mean, it is the sign of a broken system in a way. And someone can be a brilliant doctor but have terrible bedside manner. And I think you almost have to going in with that support. I don't know if anyone came with you just then, but having that support from someone who can say, quite a bit bang out of order that, because it's a lot of information to take in, right?
Can I tell you one more crazy thing? Doctors don't have to learn about endometriosis as part of the curriculum at medical school.
Well,
and it's as common as diabetes, as common as asthma. You don't have to learn about it. So how are they going to have any clue?
And this is for something
what's even more mind-blowing, sorry to interrupt,
right.
is it's the same with nutrition.
Yeah.
They have like one module. These are people like, how important is what we put into our body as to how we feel and every process. And they have like one module on nutrition.
That's wild.
Crazy, isn't it? Crazy. It's not doctors and GPs, they aren't being taught like about the kind of current science on food.
What they're being... Oh, God, I probably shouldn't say that. But you sort of think, what are you being
think
taught?
what they depends on what you specialise in, I guess. But the basic stuff is like the actual... The funny thing is they get taught way more about pills and what pills are good for you rather than like the ultimate pill, which is the nutrition, the food you're given. So again, we could probably go on all day about like how we would change the medical education system, but
start a revolt tonight.
maybe we do.
I think that's the downside, unfortunately, where if people start losing trust in this system that's been in place for years and years, that they maybe will start going a bit more bootleg and a bit more holistic. And I mean, is there anything that helps you in particular? I know you mentioned hot water bottle. Is there anything in particular where you go, right, I'm in a flare up, here's what I do?
So alcohol, no, I'm only kidding.
Bottle of wine.
Yeah, well, look, I'm guilty, but
does that not make it worse?
Yes, alcohol
because that
sets
thins
it
your blood,
off.
doesn't it? And
yeah, well, alcohol just sets it off, and the whole chili, garlic, onions sets it all off. Anti-inflammatory diet is what you're meant to do, like sweet potatoes and turmeric or whatever it's called.
Okay.
And I'd say that I don't know how to say it, but I do drink it with like sugar and that, even though you're not meant to have sugar anyway. So I always have cocodamol or codeine and ibuprofen or hard codeine, if you will, but not out at night, not when I'm driving because it'd be off my face. Or I have my hot water bottle, but I got all these burns up and I thought they looked a bit, how do I say this properly? Not for me. I thought I can get rid of them, so I'm not going to have them. So I tried to stop using my hot water bottle. I was trying other things like this tea tree patch, but it stank of tea tree, obviously. It smelled so bad and it was so pungent and cooling. And then I tried a heat pack, but it's never hot enough. And I think the biggest thing is just, I'm not going to vouch for these peppermint teas and mint teas and stuff. You two can probably tell me different, but to me, the turmeric did help. Turmeric and a bit of, I don't know if I had tea in it, coffee or tea, I can't remember, and a bit of sugar. That did help me. And hot water bottle and painkillers, and just drinking a lot of water as well, and just trying to when you try and sweat something out, it's a bit like that really, but you can't do a lot. Like as I'm talking to you now, I can feel it. And I don't know if you hear my stomach rumbling before, I can feel like swelling and stuff. And you don't swell up in a normal way, you swell up like you've got a pregnancy belly. So it's like, I mean, not your actual front bits, but, like the front of you and all the way up like that. And you just start coming up like that. And
I've seen the pictures online. I've seen a few of your pictures as well. And the difference, it's almost like a before and after, isn't it?
It is.
I mean? Yeah.
I almost encourage people to check that out as well. Like Ellie puts out such amazing information on these things. And again, very relatable stuff. Like, it's no wonder things start blowing up and you start getting the questions that you get asked, which probably brings me on to, I suppose, the advocacy. Like, when did that start and what sort of questions do you get asked about?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Not from weirdos though.
Not from weirdos.
From people that are actually interested. I started that after I got asked to do this endo documentary, and I've been banging on about it. March is Endometriosis Awareness Month, so I've been flying my little white flag at that point. Anybody want to do anything about endo? TV are always nice and let me come and do something, and then obviously on my own show I have some kind of autonomy, so I was like, we're doing it. And I work with all men as well, by the way. So, and I'd written an article, and a couple of kids from university always message me like, please can we do our final project on you? I'm like, yeah, of course I'd love to do that. Or go to Sheffield College and do a podcast, and that was really sweet. This is like the most upmarket thing I've ever done, guys, just to put it out there.
Feel privileged.
Yeah, so I did my documentary with BBC Ideas that you can find on their YouTube if you literally type in BBC Ideas and YouTube and endometriosis. And then I did that thing with Emma Barnett, that Q&A at BBC Broadcasting House, and I thought, I can't believe I've not really posted about this online. Like, I'm banging on about it, but I don't really go all out in the same way that other people do. So what am I embarrassed about? I suppose you just feel like you're in secondary school and you think, if I put this out there, I mean, it's not life or death really, is it? But you think if I put this out there, I'm sort of like just throwing myself out there and succumbing to the embarrassment. And I thought, I'm just going to get out there. I'm just going to post my surgery picture, talk about how it affects everything, and see what happens. And then I got all these likes and follows, and I thought, oh, that feels nice. So I kept doing it. But there's so much ground to cover with endo that it's easy to make every video different. And then I'm talking about hypermobility and endometriosis. I'm posting a video soon about symptoms that get misdiagnosed when they are actually endo, like IBS symptoms or chronic UTIs. These are all symptoms of endo, or sciatica. Again, it's a symptom of endo, but someone might be like, well, you work in an office, what do you expect? That sort of thing. And talking about some of the not so nice symptoms, well, none of them are nice, but also the anxiety side. So many different videos. But the one that blew up, which was like on 250,000 or something, was I said, I would like to rewrite the NHS definition, and this is what I'd say. But the fact that so many women relate to that shows you how true it is. And I think you've got to be part of the group that want to make change rather than just reporting on it. I have to be impartial in the BBC, and I can't be talking about politics and advertising things. But when something is literally inside of me, you'd think I have some kind of vote in if I talk about it or not, and nobody's beat me with a stick and told me to take it down just yet. So
I think what's cool is that there's a phrase online which is speak your truth.
Yeah.
All right. And I've always been really skeptical with that, because I'm like, just because it's somebody's truth doesn't mean that it's factual. It doesn't mean that it's helpful.
Yeah.
Whereas one thing I love about your approach, Ellie, has been it's your truth, it's your story, but you're also backing it up with facts.
Yeah.
And you're backing it up with like, no, I do know Emma Barnett. Like, I've been a part of this documentary. I am aware of the facts. I mean, I'd love to link up the documentary in the show notes as well. Like, is that available on the iPlayer? Where can people watch that?
Emma Barnett says it's called Fighting Endometriosis, Emma Barnett. I had a bit of a midway stick there, sorry about that, but I can't even blame that on brain fog. But yeah, Fighting Endometriosis, Emma Barnett, it's one of the best things I've ever watched. It shows the severity of it and why there's no research and why women's bodies weren't looked at medically and why people think it's, the image of the hysterical woman has been throughout time, women like naked with the boobs out on a chair like this, and it's like women being hysterical, and it all stems from women's pain, and we're not that bad, okay, but we're still at a point where there's a reason that this particularly hasn't had all the research funding and progress in treatments and stuff, because it is a women's issue. That's the sad part of it. And it's not like men, boo, because it's not your guys' fault, but that's just the way things are. And you think, gosh, hopefully now we've got a female health secretary, that's going to change a bit. You hope so. And with it being something endo-related going through Parliament, you hope that somebody takes a bit of notice.
Don't ever feel guilty for, like you mentioned there about like harping on about it all the time.
Yeah.
But I think you're absolutely right. Like, anything that gets serious change in Parliament has had someone somewhere for years, decades, sometimes harping on about the same thing, and they become, in their own social circles, they might become the person who's just entrenched in that. But they end up doing some really cool things because they were so committed to change. And as Brad said, you've not just got the facts, the figures, even working with people in that industry, you've also got the hard, experience with it. You understand it more than anyone else. Yeah. And so, I always think it's quite good that this endometriosis movement has got you part of it, because you're a radio presenter. You're someone who's good at communicating. You can articulate what you're feeling in a way that resonates as well. And I really feel that in your content on social media. It's like you are very concise and to the point, and you get it across great. And that's why you're obviously, is it 250,000?
250k, don't talk to me.
Official Ellie Colton.
Yeah, I know, come on. Look, at Ellie Colton. Don't at me, but do at me.
Huge change of direction now.
Yeah, I'm ready. Pugs.
We've done that, done the dogs. There's a gritter named after you, isn't there?
Yeah.
Is there? Oh, this is...
I love that you know that.
Tell me more, please.
Oh my gosh.
Was this announced live on air, was it?
Yeah, big flex. So...
I mean, in terms of moments you made it, that's got to be up there.
I can't believe that didn't come to mind before when you said think about a moment where you're like, woo, this is really good.
Where is this gritter, by the way?
This gritter will come out December, Jan, Feb, March, if it snows in March. It is there permanently. They do this every couple of years where they do this gritter naming competition. And I had no idea that my producer Kevin had done it on my behalf. And this bloke comes in from the council, he's called Joe, and he works for, gritters and bins as well. It was his speciality. And on the side, he does a bit of amateur pantomime. So he's quite
Brilliant.
He's quite a character. And he comes in with his little hat on, and I thought, what's this about? And he said to me that, well, they got me outside in the car park, so I thought something's amiss here. And he's there and he goes, we have got something amazing for you. And it was this huge yellow gritter. And he says, I introduced to you Ellie Colton. And that's what they've made the gritter over. You don't have to laugh. But the moment was funnier. And I just thought, my gosh, of all the things, like, this is it. This is so amazing. And it's better when people have spotted it out and have sent it, mate.
I was going to say, people send you pictures of it.
Yeah, you
great.
think, my gosh, that's my gritter.
Brilliant.
Even though I had no hand in making it or doing it. And actually, it took away from about 20 primary schools probably put forward a name, and they chose about 6. So a primary school have lost out for me getting that, so I feel a bit bad. But yeah, it's amazing.
I love that story. It's great.
How good is that?
Yeah, it's brilliant. And also as well, I do the Sheffield half marathon most years.
Oh, I'll see you there then.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've seen you with the mic at the start line. Yeah, that's got to be a made it moment as well. The big run in Sheffield, you announcing that and sending everyone off. That's really cool.
I annoyed people. I don't know if it was at the half or the 10k. Were you there that year where it didn't start for about 15 minutes?
I was there.
Yeah, that was that the 10k? I think it was the 10k a good few years ago.
Or am I going too far back thinking the half marathon that started outside Don Valley that was like unofficial, got cancelled?
No, there was one. Wasn't there a car on Ecky Road or something that held it for that?
Yeah. So we've done it for 3 years. Well, no, 2.5 years. It'll be 3 years in March next year or whenever the next one is. But so we do the 10k and we do the half, and there was a car somewhere, and people were like getting like annoyed, like bulls and that. I thought, God, you're here for fun. Well, I know it's not for fun because it's a big thing for people, but like, you're raising money for charity. Like, let's not lose ourselves here, guys. So they were saying, the organisers were saying to us, you can't tell them what the issue is. You just have to pretend everything's fine. So they were like, talk to John Burkill again. The man with the pram in the green wig who goes around.
Yeah,
but the problem with John is he's got such a thick accent and he can't hear very well. So there's only so many times that you can like, come on, John, tell us how you're feeling. And, he's like, what? But he's an absolute legend. He's amazing. Absolutely. So people were getting annoyed, and it was like the worst 10 minutes of our life because people were heckling us. People were like, can we get on with it? What's the hold up? And I was like, I just went, somebody's parked on the track and they shouldn't be, because I couldn't hold it in anymore and I felt so bad. And they didn't say anything, but it was bad. And I also got told off because you know how they say don't take your kids on the finish line? We have to say don't bring your kids on the course because it's dangerous when you've got so many people coming through. So I said, please don't bring your kids over the finish line. You've got common sense, don't do it. And somebody was like, that was a bit harsh. That was like really harsh. You can't say things like that. And I thought, well,
it is common sense.
It's
so,
true.
Yeah.
You're dragging your 6-month-old by its arms over the
and also
finish
as well,
line.
like, it's quite tight at the end, and there's a lot of people gunning for it because they want to get the final time. They can see the board. They're like, go on, I'll get a last little sprint finish. If you've got some bloke who's picking his kid up and then getting back into the hustle and bustle, it can be really dangerous.
And everyone faints, everyone is sick. Me and Nick are there, and this poor guy's fighting for his life, and you just think, God, it's really awful. It's really awful, but it's a great gig. You know?
Well, I went to watch it for many years before I got into running, and I saw it all. I remember a girl on Ecky Road once. There was like a little group of people, and she just tripped over and fell, and I thought, oh, bless her, I kind of went to go and help her up.
Yeah.
As a few of us grabbed her, she just went like that again.
Oh my God.
I was like, something's not right with her. So I stood her up, and she waddled off and then fell over again. And I looked in her face, and her lips were just like white. And she completely lost her colour.
Oh my God.
And she just hit like hypoglycemia, where all the sugars and salts had gone, and she was feeling sick. And then we had her legs in the air like this, shaking her because she's supposed to get the blood back to the head and stomach and things like that. But you see it all out there. People really push themselves, and it's a tough course, the half marathon, so because it's obviously all uphill and then down, and I think people underestimate how difficult that climb is. Yeah.
Are you there for the 10K again this year?
Yeah, we will be. Right. Is it the one in September? It's the one 28th or 9th, isn't it? Is it 29? No, 27.
I'll be there as well.
27.
Yeah, same. I'm there. I've got a couple of clients there, so I always encourage people, just as long as you're happy with this, Ellie, people just give you a wave, say hello.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's not like they're encouraging them to streak, is it? Like waving is okay. Yeah.
But that next thing you get sold off for. Everyone take your tops off.
Yeah, no. Come on, get naked,
This is high rocks. Come on.
Exactly.
I suppose last question for me, Ellie, is if you've got any advice for someone who's maybe struggling with endo or suspects maybe they've got endo, what message would you like to take away?
My advice to you is do your absolute best and most to go to the GPs and don't take no for an answer, and explain to them, I know I've got endometriosis. Don't be giving them symptoms that they can take and dismiss and mess around with or diagnose you with something else. When you get to gynecology, even if it is 10 months, a year, it's currently a 57-week wait. So hopefully it's not that dire. I don't know, it will still be that dire when this goes out. It's not to be laughed about, but it's serious, but that's the reality. Then when you get to obviously gynae, you get referred to endo, and the whole way you are going, I have got this, I've got, because the worst that can happen is you have a surgery and you recover for 2 weeks, sat watching Peppa Pig or E.T. or whatever in your spare time, 2 weeks off work, if you can do that, and they say, sorry, you've not got endometriosis, and you think, well, what could it be? Could it be PCOS? Could it be something else? You know, maybe it is a digestive issue, even though you're having that pain there. So you go back to gastro or something, which is easier to navigate. Gynecology is the hardest department to navigate, without doubt. I would just say, don't give up, like, you know your body. And there are people that have periods and it's a bit of cramp and whatever, and that is normal. But when you're talking about periods that debilitate you, that stop you doing your daily activities, that are so excruciating, it feels like you're literally being stabbed in your stomach, and it's like, like I say, I call it my front bum, as you know, your front bum, your front pouch and your abdomen, and it's all blown up, and you just think, God, this is so awful, and nobody gets it, and you are really down and anxious. Like, that isn't normal, and don't let anybody tell you that. Let any partner, any parent, any sibling, anybody at work or a GP, don't let anybody tell you that is normal. You have to just be adamant. It's what I've said to hundreds of women in my inbox recently when they're saying, I've been trying to get diagnosed for 10 years, and you just say, I'm going to pull my hair out. Like, if you go to the GPs and you say, don't whack them, but you say, look, I'm not messing around here. I've been going for this on blah, blah, blah. It shouldn't even take 10 years of trying. How can they say no? And if they say no, you complain, and then you get an appointment quicker than you usually would. So that's my advice. Be strong, be adamant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Play the game.
Anything else for Ellie?
No, honestly, just to thank you for coming on. Thank you for your time. I know you're a busy woman who's awake very early.
Yeah, I'm not a busy woman, though.
Bedtime soon, isn't it? Christ, though, mate.
Extracurricular.
Let's get tea in now.
And I'm off work now.
Oh, are you?
Prosecco on a Tuesday night.
You change your sleeping pattern when you're off?
Yeah, but then as a result, and I know we're finishing now, so it's a totally other conversation, but I get really bad sleep paralysis, which is brought on by sleep deprivation.
Oh, God.
The fourth stage of sleep, when you're in REM sleep or whatever, your body paralyzes itself, doesn't it, so that you can actually sleep. But for some reason, and that's when you dream the most, yeah. But when you got sleep paralysis, which is brought on by sleep deprivation, your eyes open and your body is paralyzed, but you're awake, and you visually hallucinate and audio hallucinate things. I've not got schizophrenia, even if I did. Mental health isn't funny, but whatever. And it's so awful that the only way to counter it is to have therapy or go on this medication called clomipramine, which I tried to do, but it made me look like I was on MDMA or something like that. So I thought, well, I can't be on that. Yeah, so it was just so awful. So now I just try and deal with it. But it is from going to bed at 10 o'clock on a Friday, Saturday, to going to bed at 6:30, you know, all through the week or whatever.
I've heard about sleep paralysis. I've heard it's like,
I
scary,
can tell you some story. I'll tell you one really quickly, because I don't know if you want this anyway, but the worst one I ever had, and it can range from my mum comes in my room, or my dog's running up my bed, or I pulled the covers up and Jordan was crawling up me, my boyfriend. But this is all hallucinations. It's not real. Or I'll hear my dad shouting up the stairs, down the stairs. I'll hear a motorbike really loud in my ear. I'll hear people ransacking the house. I don't take drugs, I swear to God. This is literally brought on by sleep deprivation. The worst one I had was, Jordan wasn't here. This was in March, maybe. My door was open, my bedroom door was asleep, but I was having sleep paralysis. I heard somebody coming up the stairs like this. And it was getting louder, and I thought, they're going to come in. They're going to come in my room. Whatever I'm about to see, it's going to come in my room. And I kid you not, a bloke that looked like Thor, but not in a good way, hair down here.
I was going to say, is it turned into a wet dream? Right?
Yeah, I know, exactly, yeah. Well, we learned about that in school. Came, and I was here looking at the door like this. He comes through the door. He goes around the edge of my bed. He comes to this side of my bed. I feel him sit on me. I physically felt somebody sit on me. And it's because as it's been explained to me, I've had a session of CBT and it's not fixed everything, but it's explained some stuff. Is that when you're in that stage of sleep, you're still dreaming even though your eyes are open. So I think it's like 8% of the population experience sleep paralysis. It's not mad rare, but unless you've had it, you just don't. It's just the wildest thing ever. And she said, and because you're like panicking trying to get unparalysed, your brain goes to the scariest thing that it can think of. So that's why I hallucinate stuff. I mean, I've had my dad shouting up the stairs that he's off at Chester Zoo to save like gorillas or something. And I was thinking, God, or I wake up and I think Jordan's in bed eating crisps next to me. Sometimes it can be funny, but
well, that's like a nightmare.
Well, exactly. And I'm just like, oh God. And then I realised, but the only way you can get out of it is by coughing. And I didn't know that before. So you have to, because you're all paralysed, aren't you? But if you start coughing here and start engaging this down here, it stops your paralysis.
It fascinates me that we've spoken about dreams before. We've done so many episodes around sleep and had sleep experts on, and even the experts don't know why we sleep. I mean, the biggest theory is that it prepares us for situations that we think are quite risky. And so it like mentally plays them over so we can mentally process it before we have to kind of live it in real life.
Yeah.
And I got fascinated when I was at uni actually with what do you call it now when
lucid dreaming.
Yes, when you can do all this, because there's like a book on it. There was a book we all read, and I could never do it, but a couple of my mates could actually do it, and apparently not everyone can do it. Where you can basically control your dreams. And we used to all wake up in the morning and come and sit in the living room like, right, what happened, lads? And one lad would be flying over. I flew to Manchester and back. I was going over Snakes Pass. And
yeah, whatever.
Yeah, but he was like genuinely like I controlled my dream. It was the way he was talking. It was.
Yeah.
I believed him. Whether he was, I don't know. But I could never get it. I was doing all these things before bed, and there was a brilliant movie about it years ago, about some guys who had a theory about how it all worked, but they were basically saying that you could meet up in your dream.
Yeah. Oh, really? It's like The Secret Life of Peter Pan or something.
I can't remember what the dream was called, or the movie was called, but it fascinates me all that stuff. How we've just got this thing that can create and imagine and be, off with the fairies in our head, and it can come out almost in real life. It's a bit like you've got CGI, haven't you? And you've got is it AGI, augmented reality, where you put glasses on and it's like real life, but things are happening. It's a bit like that to a certain degree, but in your own mind.
Yeah. Sometimes when it's not if it's not scary and I know I'm having it, I can just deal with it. But when it's frightening, you just think, God, I remember when I lived in Manchester on my own for a bit with my on-again, off-again boyfriend, so he wasn't really there much. And I used to always worry about getting burgled, and then I'd lie in bed, I'd have sleep paralysis, and I thought somebody's coming up and I can hear them like ransacking the house. I mean, like throwing chairs and it was so loud. And then you wake up and you think, oh my gosh, I just imagined all that. But it's deafening, like the motorbike in my ear. It's like the biggest rev you can imagine. And it's so loud that you're like, oh my gosh, you know.
I wonder why it's so loud. I wonder what that is.
It's so weird, but if you Google it, what are the most common audio hallucinations with, and you said with endo, getting me issues mismatched here. Then it says motorbikes, people shouting and like screaming and stuff.
I wonder whether that stems from when we were a kid. And like when you're a kid and you've got quite sensitive ears, when your parents shout, it's quite a shocking thing, isn't it? Or when you hear like a motorbike is like the loudest noise you'll hear like day to day. I wonder if it all stems from that, maybe.
To be continued.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
I didn't expect that to go that way, but I'm glad it did.
Yeah. It's really the longest episode ever. You'll have to chop it into like 5 minutes.
No, never chop him. Never chop him.
Do you never chop him?
No, we will let it roll. Unless, like, I mean, last episode, there was a spider that crawled out on the floor mid-episode. we had to pause it like he had that.
You killed it.
I'm sorry,
We're going to tell everybody what happened now.
Oh, I told him on podcast.
Oh, you did? Right, good.
I'm not, I think I used to be an arachnophobic, but I'm not anymore. I'm recovering arachnophobia. If that's a thing, but I'm not as bad now. But
a nice segue into a new Spider-Man film.
It was a
good segue.
The worst moment was I actually coached a couple of Buddhists at one point from Burma. And they, like the Buddhist community, believe like every living thing should live, and every life is as and insects' lives are as important as ours. And this spider jumped out from this mat that I pulled out, and I just, without thinking, just stepped on it. And she looked at me like this.
Oh my God!
And she came up to me and she went, and I could see she really wanted to hurt me. She went, "Don't ever do that again." And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry."
I'm more bothered that you touched a spider with your bare foot and squashed it.
I had my shoes on.
Oh, thank God. I thought you meant like you
I had my trainers on.
Barefooted it. Oh my gosh, that would have literally done me.
It was just a knee-jerk reaction, but the one in the gym was big the other day, wasn't it? It was almost grass spiders.
Ew.
Yeah, I can't do it.
It wasn't that bad.
Disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, actually wrap it up there.
Shall we? Ellie, if people want to reach out, say hello, where can they find you and this amazing work you're doing?
Well, I am on Instagram at Ellie Colt. I am on LinkedIn at Ellie Colton, Facebook at Ellie Colton, but I don't do much on there really. And I'm on Twitter at Ellie Colton _. Thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you. Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming down. Guys, thank you as always for joining us. We'll see you in the next one.
See you soon.
Ellie, that was awesome.
Thank you, Ellie.
So good. Yeah,
Oh,
really
appreciate
good.
that.